a sacrifice seduced for the altar of your vanity. A jealous, hungry God, craving praises of profanity. With bedroom dark and dine, and a deep mouth stained with wine, it drinks its fill. It was your mothers, not your brothers, that agreed to feed you poison. This egregious lack of choice indeed seemed fit to join your voice in, with lies disguised as prizes of reason and wisdom, with briberies of finery to weaken any criticism. Can the fly invade the blossom that devours it? A mouth that lies in wait for a gift of life to shower it.
All right, it is good evening, everybody. Welcome back. It's session 84, I believe. Last game, you had been just sailing out of Nafpaktos. Hatship said you need to spend 11 total blood from full. Everybody else, whatever you had last game, mark off 5.
For the time skip?
Yeah. I will give Nicodemus a couple of minutes to decide if he would like to talk to you guys about anything that he found out while there. If not, we will go ahead and land in Athens.
Sorry, what did Nicodemus find?
I'm going to give him a minute to decide if he would like to share that with you guys or not.
Yes, he would, except Theseus is new, so I don't think Nicodemus would be inclined to share this news with him. Sorry, Dennis.
That's okay.
Basically, Nicodemus would tactfully meet with the other members of the coterie, perhaps choosing a right moment when the new venture is busy with some other thing, and then considering that everyone else had been with during the previous visit to Olympia, Nicodemus would say, I had a brief, how can you call it, chat with those two prisoners that Olympia has subdued to her will. And during the one more clear moment of their conscience, one of them said that it is not Olympia. There was no other hint as to what he meant by it, but it was clear that he acted against his own conditioning, that he struggled to overcome the whatever it is that the elder had subjected them to. This could either mean that Olympia is not Olympia, or that the diablerie that she committed upon Alamar was not as much successful as she thinks.
What do you mean? The diablerie is not successful.
Oh, you know those crazy stories that sometimes surface, and the weird things I sometimes read, that the diablerist can be somehow overcome by the spirit of the one that he wishes to Amaranth.
If it's
Okay,
the
here's an
case,
interesting thought, just out of character. Would Labiena kind of understand what Nicodemus is trying to describe here with her past experience?
Oh, and by the way,
Given that she succeeded.
I will send you a quick message about that.
Okay.
by the way, that's assuming I'm not breaching any sort of metagaming in here.
No,
I assume
I think
characters know that, or at least heard rumors that something like this can happen.
yeah, I think that's fine. What you've been saying.
if that is the case, wouldn't this new Olympia be less kind to us? Be more prone towards being kind to the captives? Since the men that should I realize, after all, would be your enemy and would be the allies.
You see, I have no idea what her angle is, but I've actually had a chat with Alexander and inquired about why Olympia was distanced from the other Ventru during the siege of Carthage, and he hinted that she has chosen this state of being. That obviously she was ostracized by committing amaranth upon an elder, but because he was a Bruja, it wasn't that much scorn as the public eye would see, and they were not this much repulsive to her presence. Perhaps, I don't know, she could be hiding. Perhaps the effects already took point, or perhaps there's something entirely different at play.
As to why she is still maintaining cordial relations with people Olympia was allied with, well, helps to keep the ruse up.
If that was the case, then why would one of the captives tell on what happened to Olympia?
You have to understand, this was a brief moment of cognition. They have been subjected to torment far greater than Olympia herself had boasted about, and I can only imagine what kind of torments they went through to be driven to the state they are in. And it was only in a moment of perhaps clear thought in which I tried to connect to their old selves that they were able to utter those three words. It is not Olympia. This is all that have. But they were very driven to tell me this.
Perhaps on the way back we should stop by here again.
And
And
stay
do what?
throughout. About to say that.
There are things that I believe I can try once we have time to stop here. Things that might yield us the answers that we seek.
What kind of ideas?
The abyss is the gateway to much knowledge that some would consider to be unachievable.
Normally, I would be in full support and full trust, whatever your subtle angle can conceive, Albina. However, I'm worried that if we play our cards too open, too early, we may be subjected to wrath that we may not be able to withstand.
Well, is this perhaps better suited for someone who can deal with such a situation. Perhaps all we need do is pass on the word.
What to do again by passing on the word? If it is discovered that this was came from us, would make an enemy out of her, and whoever we pass the word on might be capable of getting anywhere. The way that I see it, we have the option to either play along with her, is make usage of our relationship with her. After all, if she wishes to keep the same allies that Olympia had, then she's going to want to be keeping us as her allies. And this desire for her to avoid other adventures would only raise our own value in her eyes. I should have less options to turn to. Oh, we can take care of this ourselves.
Just have to figure out how.
I think it's worthwhile to turn our attentions to learn of the to be on top of any news that come from Nafpactos. But perhaps right now it's far too early. I I understand that if she really is exhibiting some kind of change, no one has noticed, and we only know this because we've been told by an unfathomable source. But any kind of snooping around would lure her attention. I think we should take advantage of the fact that she seems to be liking us for the lack of better term.
Out of character, I wonder if she even realizes what's happening to her. It's indeed the case.
You can say that in character.
I did think about saying that in character actually. So I do wonder if she would even be aware of what's
Do
happening to her.
do we know offhand any like particular notes on her activities around the time of Carthage? Anything beyond she was at much more of a distance than everyone else?
No, you guys had your own troubles, as you very well remember. She obviously survived. She participated and survived.
Or at least we think she did. We will have to see.
There was
Till
some way we could help her suppress this entity inside.
until then, well, we're heading away already, and it's not like we won't have plenty of time before we come back.
Yes, I've I've not said it because I demand any kind of action. I think it's worth that we know the footing. Perhaps this will come in handy. Perhaps we can use it. Perhaps an opportunity will create itself in the future. But for now, we don't even know if this is her consequence of the fate that she brought upon herself, or it is a balai ploy, which we were suspecting during the first confrontation with her. Oh, on this note, have we passed Corinth just yet, GM?
You're getting ready to.
On the note of Corinth, I've been informed that our friends are in a disarray. That Shapur has been put out of the picture, and his offspring has been driven. No, not offspring. Underlings have been driven out of Corinth for good, although their whereabouts are not known.
Yes, that's quite correct. There's been no hint of them, and thanks and due to quite a large amount of funding by Evarchus himself, Corinth is steadily being rebuilt. In fact, by this time has been under construction for approximately 40 years, 30 years ish.
Hopefully this time it's not going to fall once again at the hands of the balai. The inhabitants of Corinth will do a better job of pruning the influence of the infernalists among them.
We will have to see. In the meantime, though, it's good that they've at least pushed the problem back a bit, if not fully dealt with it.
Hopefully, they haven't taken root in Athens for a change of scenery.
I'll go ahead and tell you the journey through the Corinthian Canal is uneventful. It is very routine. The captain of the ship pays the fee. The ship is towed through by sheer manpower. You come out the other side, and you begin sailing to Athens. You literally don't even stop in the city. It just passes. Everyone just passes right through. All right. You guys land in Athens. You actually technically you land in the port, which is a couple of kilometers south of Athens. Alexander basically tells you guys to stay the night on the ship. He's going in, and he will be back with the invitations.
Interesting.
So
Good idea.
you guys spend the night on board the ship, which is part of the Five Blood. The next evening, everyone wakes up, refresh yourselves, get ready. Go on board the deck. Now, the port of Athens is very big and very busy. You, in fact, cannot actually dock at a pier. You have to dock ship to ship in a big, long line. So people are actually crossing across everybody else's ship to get in and out of the port on foot. So there's people on board every single ship, guards making sure nobody, does something stupid, tries to steal this and that. When you get up and you reach the deck, it takes Alexander about half an hour to get up there. He's got a big thick stack of documents with him. He says, well, everyone, welcome. Return to the great city of the birth of civilization. Athens awaits us. I have here your passports, which you were so kind to provide me. He hands them all out. They're all stamped, taxes paid, everything's good to go. He says, I am on my way to go see Ibn Adamar. I assume all of you would like to visit him as well and pay your respects to receive his hospitality.
It is only fair and polite to meet the host of the great city himself first.
Indeed.
Of course.
Excellent. Gather your men, your servants, your gifts that I know some of you have brought, and we will be off.
Just a second, be right back.
So did he say to pick your items and come?
Yeah,
Or
get your stuff. Get your shit.
Get your,
Yeah.
get your shit and go.
I'm not going to approach and she's going to ask, I'm not aware that you were born in Athens, patron Alexander.
Oh, I wasn't born here. Maybe you referred to my second birth. That was here.
I see. So it's that's dear to your heart.
Oh yes, I was here before Sparta took over. I was here during the height of Athenian democracy. The debates are well worn. The great feats of statesmanship, I remember them quite well. He gets this look in his eyes as he's remembering these great speeches and the gatherings of men, the voting. And he sighs. Well, it's too bad for Rome. At one point, they approached such greatness, but no matter your skill at oratory, I foresee that they have lost the opportunity to match the greatness of Athenian democracy.
I'm back.
Perhaps this is a moment, perhaps this is an opportunity to investigate deeper and perhaps see if not all is lost. Perhaps there are some angles to be pushed. Obviously, we cannot change the political course so easily, but perhaps the spirit of the Roman people can be appropriately influenced to direct them on the right steps.
I will not attempt to dissuade you from such a course of action, but I simply focus, as you know, my efforts on their culture.
How is that any different?
Because the ones who truly control their votes have no wish to change the course of action.
Do you mean, Lord Alexander, it's similar to swimming against the flow of the river?
Well, as I said, I focus on humanities, on helping them remember their greatness of spirit. Yeah, perhaps they will see a play and it sparks them to rise up and change. If I were you, I would not fast until that happened.
It used to be that Romans were a monarchy initially, that they had kings, hereditary kings, but they overthrew this political agenda for a republic, an oligarchian republic, unfortunately, but it still is broader spectrum than just one man holding all the power. Perhaps they will grow to change into something else entirely.
Perhaps you're correct. Never lose hope. Hope is what keeps humans going.
To some extent, it keeps us going as well.
That and far too often pure spite.
Isn't spite just the hope that something bad happens to your enemies?
Oh, fair. But we digress. Let's get on to business.
Ah,
Well,
as you're walking up into the city, and he says, "Well, it's spite if you hang on only and solely to deny your enemy a pure victory, as the Romans did with Hannibal." You were there for that, were you not?
Yes.
Indeed, we were.
Do you remember the speech that the first citizen gave about and the seer about how they would never give in and never give up, that Rome would resist until no stone stood on top of another?
Until the last legionary dead. Yes. To the last drop of Roman blood is to be spilled.
That's spite.
Is it spite, or is it, a exemplification of what made Rome such successful in being an empire? Because it is through the unbrokenness of Roman spirit that they were able to persist for so long, conquer so many lands, never give in, never give up. Obviously, it may sound like spite that they are ready to that they declared that they will fight to the last stone and the last drop of blood. But is it not such stalwartness that manifests the strength of Roman spirit?
Oh,
why can it not be
go
both?
ahead. Go ahead, please.
But that is now slowly crumbling, Nicodemus. If you look close enough, you will see the corruption spreading.
But that's we are talking of the past deeds and what happened in the past. How it is
Pest,
and how it is interpreted, entirely different story.
sadly, while past helps us consider about our decisions when it comes to future, it still doesn't matter when you are living in the present. And present we are living in is falling apart slowly.
You're
So-
changing the subject here.
I am changing the subject because we shouldn't stuck with the past.
And a perfect example of how the Romans have elevated spite into an art of statesmanship.
I would say, why can it not be an example of both? Was it not Aristotle himself that said that most virtues in excess become vices?
The question Aristotle never answered was, what constitutes success?
Too true. Too true.
Well, there's a lot of experience before answering such a question, but I guess I would say that the life we are living, it ends up with things around us turning into ash ever slowly, sometimes faster than the usual, but either case, it turns into ash. And in a such grand end that everyone experiences at some point and cannot change, I would say the true success is just surviving, living yet another night, And while everyone else is crumbling, keeping hold of yourself.
Well, if that's the case, why did you not just join the wild gangrel and become as a beast and just go survive in the wilderness? That's just survival.
Well, it's a very crude way to survive. I'm still looking for some kind of color in my undead life.
So there is more to unlife than just surviving.
Yes, when it comes to details, yes, nothing is black and white. It's just that when it comes to the base of everything, the very start point or the end point, depending on the perspective, it comes to survival. And you take out every important piece and just leave behind the essence, this survival.
One could argue that when you boil it all down, the most essential part of the human body is the heart. But if you remove all the other organs and they're not undead, it's going to cause them some problems.
What do you say, Labiana? You must have a unique perspective on this.
Huh. Character, I was hoping I wasn't going to get asked about this. Um. uh, well, obviously, of course, I have my own views on things like this. Views I don't often tend to share. But I mean, in terms of success, I believe there are many many degrees of success, many ways to achieve success. Since success to me can mean many things, many ways to get there. Indeed, Decius made a good point in that surviving another night is indeed one way of achieving this. I mean,
Beast wants to survive. If it's survival is, if survival is the ultimate goal, why just not let your reins loose? Do whatever your desire, and the beast will take the rest.
To be fair, the beast wants survival, but it is short-sighted.
It is survival nonetheless. It will react to any kind of danger, and it will it will go down to the basic instincts that has served humans so well for so long.
beast will do anything to achieve survival, regardless of the cost. And whilst we have been blessed with eternal life, that does not mean we cannot be destroyed.
Oh, here comes the great question and the great challenge that our patron is so subtly pushing us towards. What is survival? What is success versus one's integrity? Is spite a virtue or a vice? Probably a vice, but if it ensures survival, is it only a vice? The complexity of the question and the answer can be verified by history, but do we really want to be just so crudely summarized?
Listen, every kind of existence is so complex that just talking it one night when you're walking towards a destination will not give enough credit to it. So yes, we can stop talking now and just walk, or we can, even if it's simple words, even if it doesn't give the full credit to it, try to say something about it.
Come now, Duchess, don't tell me such loosely left cliffhangers of a discussion does not rouse your undead heart. Not all discussions need to meet their ultimate conclusion. Sometimes you need to let it brew for a couple of nights to reach any kind of afterthought.
However, will we learn more about such things?
There are truly stages of, I guess, explaining what survival is. We are probably living only one stage of it right now. How did you think 50 years ago or 70 years ago? How will you think when you become powerful enough to have your own coterie subjects that sees you as patron? How will you perceive survival when you become maybe 2000 years old, who has seen a lot and endured a lot and built lots of power? And how
Survival.
will you see survival when people with torches in their hand, dozens of them, marching towards your haven to burn you to ash? These all
Survival.
depend on the situation you are in. And each situation has their own answer. And no answer is right or false as well.
I suppose survival doesn't always need to be physical.
Oh yes, mental it can definitely be. A broken spirit who cannot act, do anything, but still breathes and still has a beating heart. Maybe one person could consider it as a survival, but another probably will not. I personally will not consider it survival. If you cannot do anything, then you're not useful. And if you're not useful, well, there's no meaning to your existence.
On the other hand, perhaps even if you no longer walk on the earth, you can live through the consequences your actions leave.
Indeed.
How mortals
Yes.
do it seems to have done them decently enough, I suppose.
Indeed. There are many people, soldiers, who go to war and lose some part of their body, but they keep on surviving, pushing harder, moving forward, and still surviving mentally. Physical or mental survival, yes, they all matter. They all define the situation.
How
But
does?
it's
Oh, sorry.
Of course.
no, you go.
I was just going to ask out of character. How does Alexander seem to be reacting to all the points we're bringing up?
He's just smiling and listening to you guys talk.
Sharps, you seem to suggest the way of the mortals of living through your achievements and deeds, but I am willing to bet a hand that every single mortal in this vessel would jump at the opportunity to become one of us.
And indeed, there are those who also do not require a physical form in order to survive.
The mortals who survive the way that you do, that you speak, because they have no other choice, not because they are given one.
But in
Did,
essence, they have
Um,
survived, even if it is not by choice.
be right back. Be right back.
Humans has achieved great things that includes their current state in existence right now. Look around us, this civilization we live in, the culture that they build up, the emotions, their expressions, their hunger for violence and greed, their sins and their blessings, all these things the humans has achieved. It's grand. It deserves giving credit. And some of them actually see the desire in staying as human when they will be offered to become a superior creatures, kindreds, they might still refuse such an offer. Because when you look behind, when you look what has been done for the centuries, they are successful. They are important, valuable. To see humans as just a inferior creature, worthy of nothing, well, that's a mistake to make. You should give more credits to humans.
I find it interesting that you say to give more credits to humans, and yet in the same breath you refer to uh, us as superior to them.
I think that's true. That's indeed in a contradiction. But while we are superior to humans, that doesn't mean they are simple small creatures. They are successful and they know how to survive and how to move on and how to build up a future for themselves, a promising future. We also do that as kindreds. We are just on top of the natural order compared to them. After all, we all have been human once before transcending.
I think it's far more complex than this than this piece of elaboration you've given this, just because while we may be superior in lifespan and existence span and in physical prowess and perhaps in mental cognition, humans are simply superior by being able to survive during the day, which so far takes the most of the day, most of the time. And this perhaps the reason why it's called human civilization and not kindred civilization. But then again, our kind has been behind there many of the humans uh, generations and has been manipulating their decisions for quite a while. How much of this can be attributed to humans alone, and how much can be attributed uh, by to our workings behind the scenes? Obviously, we take
Obviously.
inspiration heavily through humans alone, but it is often our immortal resolve that allows this to happen.
Yeah.
Is
The
it only
next
this? Oh, certainly doubt it. Some of the greatest philosophers are human, and our kind seems to merely replicate, repeat. I'd say that it is human spirit that inspires us, and sometimes it is our immortal lives that allow some ideas to flourish because we can manipulate them into fruition.
yeah,
And how
the
many of
next
those?
thing the next thing that Bianna's going to say, whilst she knows it's true, it does actually pain her to say, and you all will see this on her face as she talks. Yes, indeed. But one thing that we do all have to remember now, whilst we all talk about how we are superior to humans, and yes, they are there to do our bidding, would we all not be here were it not for humans? After all, without them, we would fall to ash.
Such as it is with our best interest to live with them on peaceful terms. Say more, to ensure they flourish, and so that our kind may subside. And this is why I so despise any misuse of them. Should only take what's needed, not just convert them into cattle.
I think that our existence, how far it goes, we probably do not know the answer of. We would need to seek answers from our elders, but they wouldn't answer to that question, because why would they? Understandably. But it is true that we depend on humans because indeed they are our food, because indeed we need them for their blood. But a thing that the big thing, a difference between us and the humans are simply stagnation. Let me ask you, some of you are older than me, most of you are older than me. In the past 10, 20 years, how much did your life change? How much did you kept up with while humans moved on compared to 80 years ago? While humans are developing their technology, developing their knowledge about the sky and the human body and other kinds of biology, math and other kinds of science, philosophy, developing ideas and cultures, developing a fashion, art, you name it. How much did you kept up with? How much could you kept up with?
Um, sorry, if I understand correctly, we've just come back on a conversation of how humans are more adaptable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's how they develop and we stand in place.
Yeah, stagnation.
Yeah.
Well, there are a few notes to be made. First of all, yes, it is a bane of us that we find it harder and harder to grow as time wears on. I hope to be able to resist this, but I will not pretend that such a task is easy. However,
Well,
as a note to this, for all that humans change, certain aspects also remain starkly similar. There, you'll often find the same core fears driving people. I fear that until people can move past certain innate flaws, they'll never truly achieve what they are capable of.
well,
And if
let me
they ever
ask
do
you.
do that, personally, if they ever do accomplish that, and uh, other vampires, even myself, are left in the dust, because a part of me would feel almost a bit of pride in that.
Let me ask you all this. How much are we driven uh, by no longer being more like How much were we driven back when we were mortal, knowing that eventually we would die? Now, how much of that have we held on to in our immortality or not?
That's
What you tread upon is a double-edged sword for both of our kinds. The humans' short lifespan compared to ours is both a blessing and a curse, as much as our eternal existence is a blessing and a curse. Often humans become too derailed in too many things to be done at once in such short lifespan. Now, in my collegia, I've met people on their deathbed concerned with how many things they've left unchecked and unfinished, while there were some individuals that took pride in the fact that they depart the world knowing that they've did everything that they could. And some of them were brilliant craftsmen, and they uh, and those that were some of those that were struggling were brilliant craftsmen, and they they had plenty of ideas per minute, and none of them were driven to fruition because they simply had too little time. I say, while it drives them, it also it also can limit them. Few individuals can ascend above the the distractions, and focus on one thing that allows them to truly flourish, and by the end of it they can call their lives complete.
see what they are exchanging with that kind of problem, that kind of curse, is that their life has an important place, and it is so important that sometimes it's worth sacrificing for a grand, bigger ideas or acts, if you would call it. Do you know any kindred that would throw themselves on fire to save another kindred or another human? Would you
Yes,
do that? Would you
but
sacrifice your life for someone else?
uh, I should I would say yes, but I shouldn't probably speak considering my lineage.
See, maybe because you're a celebrity, it's a 1 in 1,000 case. Maybe you're lying right now. It depends. We cannot know the truth till we actually face such a circumstance. But for the general, we can definitely, confidently say that no kindred would sacrifice themselves willingly for another kindred or another creature. Because consider it, you are immortal. You have lots of time to do what you want. Why just give it? Why just perish? There's no gain in that. But for humans, they know that they will die in 20 years, in 30 years. If they are truly rich and powerful, they might live 70 or 100 years. But they know that at the end of that road, there is death. So they will never live forever. And that gives them a reason to sacrifice themselves, their life, for something bigger than themselves. That might be their children's future. That might be their love for their country. That might be their love for their wives or husbands. It can be anything, or it can be ideas. It can be idea of freedom. It can be idea of resisting against oppression. It can be idea of taking revenge from someone who dealt you great pain. We kindreds, we do not have that kind of privilege because we know that at the end of it, the time is nothing to us, and we can always do our next thing. We can always try to do our next thing. so it is not worth sacrificing it for someone else, because we can be always better than before.
There is a
Entirely
visible
true.
there is a visible emotion reaction from Nicodemus, though he quickly turns his face away to conceal his mixture of anger and sadness. Uh, it is easy. This conversation sparks the memories of the turbulent, dramatic night in Carthage, where he was driven to save Uziel from the onslaught of the Bruja that surrounded him. And despite the searing pain of the blinding light, he was Nicodemus in that time, perhaps the most alive in those many decades he had been on that. And for this perspective, Nicodemus feels a sort of sting that he realizes how far the vampirism drives them away from their core, from their human core.
And on that note, the conversation passes as you walk up the port into Athens itself, through the streets. Athens is quite a large city, and if you had never been in Rome, you would have said that it is probably one of the largest cities on the planet. But Rome dwarfs it. Merely 300,000 people here. Rome itself, over 1 million. So yes, there are people out and about. There are some people still attempting to sell in their markets. There are people sleeping on the streets. The stench and smells remind you of home. But it's not home. It's far emptier. And he leads you through the city streets to a large home. And it is guarded, and they allow you in. They take you down to a basement that is lit with lamps that are scented, have scented oil in it. Sticks of incense put pleasant smelling smoke in the air. It's quite bright, very well lit. There's a small group of people there, and they all seem to be rotating around a figure that is dressed in Bedouin robes, has a cloth wrapped around his head, slightly dusky brownish skin. Alexander enters, and he gives a polite nod and greeting to everyone in the room, and everyone comes to attention to him. And he says, Noble Archon of Athens, may I present to you my guests in the city? All of my guests? Please step up and introduce yourselves to Ibn Alimar, Archon of Athens.
Obna steps forward and gets down on her knees, bowing to the Archon. Obna Paris, from the La Sombra of Rome. It's an honor to be here before you. The Archon.
He actually raises an eyebrow at that because his understanding was that Romans and Greeks don't bow or humble
Yeah,
themselves like that.
I was thinking that myself.
So yeah, he kind of raises an eyebrow at that, and he's like, okay, you're welcome.
Decius will approach after Albina. He will give a proper greeting, but not a bow. He will tell his name and then tell his lineage, because that's what she should do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to roleplay that, but you know, yeah.
He nods in acknowledgement. Then he looks to Hatshepsut.
I'm Hatshepsut of the followers of Set. Hat will give, that sort of like slight tip that's like it's starting a bow, but not a full one.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I shouldn't do that. And you're like, oh, wait, no.
Well, no, more as an intentional thing, as like not fully bowing, but still showing a degree of deference.
Yeah, you move your torso about 5 degrees. Yeah.
Mm.
All right. Followers of Set. I see it, especially in your jewelry, since you make it so obvious. All right. He looks at Nicodemus.
Uh, Nicodemus has a sort of consideration in his mind. Introduction seems like a good place to offer a gift, but how does it work when he's a first citizen, a true first citizen, and not a princess itself? Are the gifts to a simple representative offending in Athens?
No, it's he's the elected leader, so it's appropriate to give him the gift, as he has the respect enough to earn that election in the first place.
Well, like, should we give the gift right now or should we do it later?
Right now, would actually be quite appropriate.
Okay, then I will also give my gift.
You forgot.
Yeah. All right,
I
Nicodemus. Before we go on, Nicodemus, what did you get him?
Okay, since we're here, Nicodemus gives a polite incline of the head to not be mistaken by a bow, but still respectful enough, and he introduces as, "Good evening, noble Archon. I am Nicodemus of the clan Salubri. It has been many years since I've been to Athens, but my heart always gladdens to see the grandiose of the city, and I am very glad to see it continues to flourish. Please accept this humble gift. It is a small treatise that has been scribed down as a elaborate debate between the various applications of law in Rome, as interpreted by the two greatest law interpreters of the past times, circa 100 years ago. It is a quite interesting debate. And so he hands off the scrolls.
Yeah, he takes the scroll and he opens it and he browses it, and he actually smiles quite broadly. Rolls it up, hands it off to someone, and he gives you a hug and he says, "So, what a wonderful gift! I'm flattered. Thank you so much."
They're kind words, Archon. I hope it will I hope you'll find it to your liking and the liking of whoever you desire to show it to.
So he looks at Labiana.
Labiana will step forward slightly, offer a slight head nod, and will take her first cue from Alexander. Noble Archon of Athens, I am Labiana of Clan Cappadocian. Thank you for welcoming us to your fair city. She'll step back again.
Dear, would you take your mask off for me?
Labiana will, of course, immediately and graciously, carefully take off the mask.
He gets right up next to you, and he puts his fingers, like his thumb and his forefinger, on your chin, and he's looking at your cheeks and your face, and he's, how interesting. I've always wondered why this happens. And he steps back. No, no, do forgive me. I'm afraid I let my curiosity overcome my sense of personal space.
It is indeed all right, Archon. Indeed, I have wondered that myself about our kind.
Then he looks back at the rest of you and he says, before we complete the formalities, is there anything else?
After he says that, I will approach and give my gift as well. I will present a. Okay? I'm going to present a ring, nice gold ring with a ruby gem on top of it. It's shaped like a heart, and it's high quality, expensive, but very simplistic and minimalistic jewelry.
He holds it
And then
up
I
in the
will-
light. He looks at it. This is quite lovely. And he hands it off to his servant.
And then I will take a few steps back after giving it.
How it will present a small collection, so like two to four-ish texts on specifically on how on ways on words religious philosophy and how it can be applied to more practical concerns, essentially, if that makes sense. Basically,
He flips through it and he says, "Are these your own thoughts?"
some of them have informed my understanding, but I've yet to truly collate my own work. I realise it is not as great a gift as what some of my companions have brought, but I hope it will at least satisfy.
I shall read them with great interest. And then he looks around. Anything else?
When I hand over the gift made up of some um, the a decorated statue of a local patron of Athens, of Athena.
He holds it up. He examines it. Is this locally done in Rome?
Sorry, what?
Said, was this done in Rome by a craftsman?
Yes.
We shall find a space where it can be admired.
Was it?
Should I make a perception empathy check to tell how much of that was like just being polite versus actually being impressed for like all the gifts, not just
No, I don't think that's necessary. Obviously, the ring impressed him the least.
Yeah, he probably gets all of these.
It's a polite gift, but he, judging from his clothing and his lack of jewelry, such things are seen as baubles.
But at the very least, he's not outright insulted by any of them.
Correct. He accepts them in the God, I'm having a brain fart. He accepts them in the spirit in which they were given.
He'd probably be more insulted that I didn't give him anything.
Yeah, it's kind of customary, but you know, you're a poor broke ass Cappadocian. What are you going to give him?
Give him one of the hands you picked from the pirates. I mean, think about it. He might not like it, but that hand has a big meaning for you. So You're actually giving something important.
All right.
It's more likely she probably would have kept a piece of the jewellery she might have found on one of these body parts.
So
Hey,
he nods at everyone. So thank you all. It's my understanding that you are going to be here for approximately a half turn of the moon. I
is that
grant you
question?
leave one night to hunt in my city for one night only.
So we can hunt only once.
You may correct. You may stay. You may explore. If any of the permanent residents here take offense at your behavior, you should, of course, apologize profusely and avoid drawing their ire.
What does that mean precisely? Does it mean that we're we're welcome to hunt on one victim only, or have like one session of hunting, considering that some of us dine on more than one mortal?
You may have one session of hunting in one night.
So basically, just remember, we're probably going to want to time it right, so that it's when we're starting to get hungry.
In other words, be very careful with your blood use.
Right. So that's pretty much one hunting roll.
I didn't say one hunting roll. I said one night.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Okay.
Or you can break the rules.
Yeah, you can break the rules.
You certainly attempt to break the rules. You may not like what happens, but there we go.
Hey, I'm not a cheater, okay?
Is there any other business that you would like to discuss, and any other requests for favors, anything else?
I'm gonna stay silent and look at Alexander. Or not stare, that would be disrespectful. I'm just gonna take a peek if he wants to say anything or not.
Alexander's already discussed his business.
Okay, then I'm staying silent. I'm waiting for others to say something.
Do we know if there's some sort of Elysium around this around Athens?
Good question.
That's a good question to ask.
Forgive me for this question, Archon. It's been quite a long time since I've been to Athens. But is there any place of where our kind mingles and congregates?
We gather mostly in small homes to discuss or business or philosophy, have gatherings. There's no main building or anything like that. I would avoid the Acropolis if I were you, unless you like to have the displeasure of the gods crush upon your shoulders.
No one wants that. That's unhealthy.
But we will remember that. Thank you for your advice.
Sorry, I just out of character. I'm imagining Lucius being in this location and taking that as a challenge.
He totally
Trigger.
would.
uh,
Should we ask if there is any other place we should be away from? Like, I don't know. In a street, particular street?
I suppose the other question should be: is there any other part?
I'll tell you what. I have something I need in Rome. So if you have a specific question that I can answer in return for obtaining something for me in Rome,
What would you like us to obtain for you, Archon?
Are we discussing?
Approximately 10 years ago, the one of the governors from Rome absconded with some historical documents of importance to us. A set of plays and a set of speeches.
Scandalous. That's our character.
And you
They,
like us?
the speeches of Demosthenes and the plays of Aeschylus. I don't care if copies remain in Rome. I would like the originals returned to us.
Could you tell us who was this governor? In knowing his identity would allow us to track him down and his possessions more easily.
Oh, I would have to search my memory. He gives you a name. Doesn't matter. Gives you a name. Proconsul such and such. I'll tell you later.
Are we discussing business like while there is an audience?
Why not? Looks like a good place.
I mean, out of character, I'm okay with doing that. I don't know if you guys want to do it.
Oh, Nicodemus wants to.
Why not? Always a good idea to have good terms with one of the elders in another domain.
Okay. Well, Decius will step ahead and say, well, I guess in character we will just for a few moments share our own opinions about this, whisper to each other, then come to a conclusion. And Decius would say, we would we would be happy to accept such an offer from you.
Yes, obtain and deliver the originals back to me. And if you agree to that, then I will go ahead and answer a few more questions.
Yes, we agree. We agree to that offer. We accept it.
Well then, Decius, ask me a question.
Okay. Can I just take a few moments to take hear my coteries' ideas?
Okay. Albina, ask me a question.
I noticed how curious you seem to be about the situations of my coterie member, Labiana. I assume that this means that Athens lacks a presence of the clan of death.
Oh, they have. They're here. They tend to stick to themselves, and they don't reveal their secrets very easily.
And you are interested in finding out the secrets.
I'm curious if the decay in their morality matches their decay of physical appearance. I wonder if it has anything to do with each other, or if it's uh, unrelated.
I'm gonna look thought for a second, considering that this is a very interesting that he makes. She is going to step aside, having satisfied her curiosity.
That was our question. Like one question. We can't ask anymore, right?
No,
Ah,
that question
Hatchetsit,
for each.
how about you? Do you have a question?
Oh, it's a question for each. Okay.
Are there any other supernatural dangers we should be aware of in this domain? Uh, um, in the manner of any, like, you know, human mystics, lupines, anything that to keep aware of?
Well, Athens is a busy place. It's a busy city. There are many tales that go on of still demigods appearing and the miracles of Athena or a direct intervention of the gods. I would say, so long
But
as you are careful and do not do anything unduly sacrilegious or overtly hostile, you should be unmolested.
no specific immediate date. Thank you for that. I was curious about the fact.
Out of character, I have a question, Chris. Do we know which clan this did this?
No, you have no idea. No, not
Okay.
been publicized.
Okay. It's okay. His behavior. Does he seem like a crude person or more like philosophical kind of? I don't know.
Philosophical.
Okay. Can this you still ask a question?
Yes, you can.
Okay. I will just say after Hatshepsut does his thing, her thing, I will just ask quickly. I would like to know if it's okay, or I would like to take your suggestion on a good rhetoric teacher in Athens I can go and learn from. Someone you would deem worthy of being a rhetoric teacher.
Oh, I would have to ask around and get back to you.
I understand.
How about you, Laviana?
Did briefly touch on at least one place that you've told us to avoid. On the other side of that, are there any places in Athens that you would recommend that we visit while we're here? Any other people we should see? Or you recommend that we would see?
Ah, if you wish to truly experience what you can of Athens at night without visiting the Acropolis, may I suggest the Agora and the Stoa. The Agora is a open market and the Stoa is our covered market. Also, you in particular may be interested in our necropolis.
This, of course, piques Labiana's interest.
It is in the hills to the north of the city. I do caution prudence when entering. The Salubri often are out there taking care of the people who have been driven to live amongst the dead. There are perhaps many dangers of which the public is ignorant.
He mentioned Stoa, right? In this particular instance, or both of them?
Both of them.
Indeed, those are wonderful suggestions. Thank you.
And Nicodemus.
GM, what's Nicodemus's realization upon the medicinal arts in Greece? Can he learn anything more? Is there
You pretty much
Uh,
have all of the knowledge that the Greeks could offer. Um,
mhm.
the best you might ask for, as far as new stuff here, would be obtaining original copies of their original texts.
Mm-hmm. Uh, we'll probably squeeze it out of Shalmath anyway. Uh, okay, in this circumstance, Nicodemus would ask, Noble Archon, I wish to delve and explore the great art of expression. Could you direct me into the finest expert upon, be it supernatural or mortal alike, upon the acting and the theater?
Perhaps you should stick with Alexander for that. He has a couple of friends that are working with him on that, and they will be. Indeed, that's one of his items of business here.
Oh, I see.
He says, "Tell me, Alexander, their names again? Why does it escape me?" And Alexander and him talk for a second, and Alexander says, "Oh no, it is Piolus and Articane." And he says, "Oh yes, that's right. Yes, Piolus is a Ventru and Articane the Toreador, uh, child of Ventru and child of Erikel, both of whom are active in the theater. In fact, they were the ones to alert me to the governor who absconded with our documents. They are quite the aficionados of the respected and ancient art."
Well, this is very informative. It seems that my question has been exhausted. Unless you would grace us with some hints as to how can we become good in their graces to share their knowledge with us.
Oh, well, I think that's a question they better answer, but as your patron here is already made it a stop on his agenda to speak with them, perhaps he already has a plan.
Does it seem like there's any reaction from Alexander?
He's nodding.
Very well, thank you.
Oh, well then, he claps his hands. I believe that about wraps it up. Bid each of you all a good evening and pleasant times.
Good evening. I am looking forward to your answer, Archon.
A message eventually does arrive for you on the ship tomorrow with a couple of names and a description of how to get a hold of them.
Okay, I will take a note of it. Well, in character.
And we'll give a slight head nod. Pleasant evening, Archon.
What's Nicodemus do?
After polite departure from the Archon, Nicodemus would approach Alexander with a query, what are his plans in regard to the mentioned topic, are because Nicodemus is interested as well.
Well, I have exchanged a few letters with them already. My plan is to essentially offer them a pretty large bundle of Roman plays from our existing playwrights. I have obtained several copies of approximately 30 or 40 plays from our Writers Guild.
If I may, I noticed the way how he speaks of the art of acting and play and writing plays. It seems that has a great model of respect in here than it does back in Rome.
Indeed, that's it. Indeed, it does. It's a art form here. It is a form of teaching here. It's a way to educate your children here. Oh, before I forget, Albina Labiena Hatshepsut, you will not be allowed to enter a theater here, nor to hear the plays.
Because they're women?
Yes,
Out of character, I ask that.
because they are females. Yes.
I was mentally prepared for that.
Fabiana does actually sigh internally, but tries not to
Don't
show
worry.
it.
Worry not. If should I gleam should I gleam should I be thoroughly impressed? Perhaps I will be able to replicate that for you.
On your way out, he expounds on the differences between Greek and Roman plays. Greek plays had at the most 3 actors. They had 3 actors and a chorus. And it was one actor at a time. The actor would come out and would speak or sing their part, and sometimes they would react to the chorus. And between acts of the play, there was a mini play called a satyr play, where the satyrs would come. Somebody would come out dressed as a satyr, and these were all men. All actors were men, and the satyr would essentially make fun of the interaction of the gods in the previous act. And this was typically done during tragedies. There were 3 styles of plays. There were tragedies, there were comedies, and there were satyr plays. And as Nicodemus is actually very familiar with this, as he is Theban. He talks to you. There were 2 huge play competitions every year that were prestigious competitions. This is how important plays and playwrights were to the culture of Greece. And he talks about how they're just as important to Romans. It's just that in Roman society, plays and actors serve as a way to criticize society. And because they fulfill the role of criticism, they're not hated, but they're held as like at an arm's length. You need the criticism, but nobody likes to hear it.
Perhaps the nature of it needs to be more diluted, to be more subtle, and to expand on different aspects. Because theater serves many purposes. It can educate, but it can sometimes be pure entertainment.
One of the things I hope to pick up while we're here is the work from a new style of play called new comedies. In fact, only recently became popular in some of the competitions. I hope that the style of a new comedy, and the subject matter of these so-called new comedies, could perhaps be of use in Roman theater.
New comedies, what do they diverge from the old one?
Greek comedies tend to focus on the plight of the everyday person, and they cast light upon the absurdity of society. They're not necessarily funny.
And the new comedy, do they expand? Do they touch upon uh, greater scopes, national tragedies?
It's a
Or are they more slapstick?
they tend to become more satirical. A little, they do focus a little bit more on humor. Um, Old comedy focused more on events and how it affected citizens. New comedy focuses on the citizens themselves with no heroic stuff. It's more the everyday life of the absurd everyday life of a person.
GM, is there a such a thing as kindred theater nowadays? Do does I understand that Elysium sometimes invites various performances, but does it ever expand it onto theater itself?
Um, that's basically the only way you ever get to see this stuff is it's pretty much all done during the day. Um, what you're seeing at night is either a very hurried version or something written just to be performed at night because you can't see the costumes and everything nearly as well. At least, normal humans can't.
Hmm.
What about art strictly for vampires?
Not that I know of. I don't know that that's a thing yet.
Mm-hmm.
But if someone were to invent it, I think that'd be a fantastic idea.
Sean Alexander, I have to ask, is your interest in theater purely on the grounds of exploring mortal culture, or do you seek to expand it upon our kind?
I like to understand the human heart and where it's going. Plays, music, artwork are appropriate and good mediums to understand that.
Uh, this is true. Perhaps in the long run, this can be transcribed to as something that can be um, used to spark interest among our kind. After all, we're some of the root dependencies, some of the root emotions continue to thrive within even after our untimely deaths. Perhaps we can use it to spread some greater understanding among our undead kind.
Perhaps. One must never lose hope, as we were discussing earlier.
Ah, very well. Since I already accidentally injected myself somehow within your field of interest, how would you wish me to, if you would at all, accompany you, and in what role when negotiating with these two knowledgeable kindred?
I
Should I
am actually going
know?
to go meet with them very shortly.
Would you wish me to accompany you, or is it entirely a private matter?
Well, I would not be shocked if they ignored me in favor of manipulating you, because they feel they can get a better deal out of you.
Would this be an angle that would prove some more information out of them?
I believe you would get less out of them than I will.
Yes, but I can serve as bait.
They will do everything in their power to make you agree to something.
Presents.
It sounds like it means that you don't recommend me even coming in touch with them. Why would they bother with a lowly neonate such as I?
Because I am a more knowledgeable and better negotiator than you are. I say with no pride, it's simply a matter of fact. I have a better understanding of what they want. So therefore, they will strive to make you agree to a bargain because they will get a better deal out of you.
In other terms, my presence would only derail the engagement from the way you envisioned it.
Now, what I will do for you is I will set up a appointment for you if you wish to negotiate something on your own. Would you like that?
Certainly.
Very well then. Then for the group here, I bid you a good evening. I will be on my way to my own destination. As for the rest of you, do stay out of trouble.
We will do our best.
That's the plan.
Sometimes trouble seems to not be able to stay out of us.
Uh, he chuckles a little bit at the double entendre there and heads off into the night.
It is a shame that a city with a history of wisdom can fall to such base prejudices.
But
I don't even try to fathom what kind of weird, weird agendas are those two up to. I just hope to come out of in one piece.
Regardless,
Dear friends, what are your plans for the Athens? I have some places to visit. What do you plan on doing?
Indeed, yeah, I have been alluded to a place that I would certainly visit. That will be my plan.
I'm curious about something that he mentioned. His theory that the decay of the body, if your body level might be related to moral decay. And what do you think about that?
So can you say that again?
Sure.
Oh,
Sorry.
sorry, I was just saying, could you say that again?
I'm curious about the theory that he had about the decay of the body of your clan being related to moral decay. What do you think of that?
Does give me some more stuff to think about.
Do you
I
feel that
believe.
you,
So go ahead.
do you feel that you have undergone moral decay? along with the changes in your appearance?
It seems to me like the sort of thing where it's difficult to separate correlation from causation, because after all, both seem to progress with age.
Well, it is something that I've yet to truly determine. It's a direct correlation. Internally, out of character. Internally, she knows part of this to be true. Having said that, I suppose you could say she just thinks that's the case, but doesn't know for certain.
I suppose if we wanted to truly find an answer, we would need to find a Cappadocian that was a saint.
Maybe they do exist.
I suppose
There's-
anything's possible.
There's this body seal.
So, about your question, Nicodemus, I actually have something I'm going to do, and I believe that you might be interested in. As you remember my question, I am going to
Rhetorics.
yes, I'm going to take about I'm going to take education from a rhetoric teacher, and I intend to do it for the time we are staying in Athens. And considering that your approach to philosophy and different aspects of speech, I thought that you might be interested in, and considering that you are a member of my coterie, I should ask if you want to join me.
I would definitely be interesting. I just hope that I can manage time. I understood that he meant 2 turns of the moon. That meant the full cycles of the moon, or just two nights.
I thought you said half a turn of the moon.
Half a turn of the moon, so half a month.
Something like that. So this is about 1.5 or 2 week at top.
Okay.
About 2 weeks, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense.
Listen, it's okay if you cannot make time, but if you can, then feel free to come to my chamber before I leave for my lessons, and I will take you with me.
That sounds a bit sus. Come to my chamber for my lessons.
That wasn't intentional. I'm going to be honest, that wasn't intentional.
Yeah, especially in Athens.
I intend that the answer Archon will give will point towards one of the best teachers in the Athens, and considering that the city has been famous for its rhetoric and the arts of speech, I'm sure it won't be a disappointing experience. I hope to learn much from them, despite it being only 2 weeks, or maybe even shorter than that. But with focus and determination, much can be learned. I know that you will know that.
Certainly. I don't expect any of my other tasks to take this long, so considering my self-interest, unless I get stuck with the theater angle.
That's certainly fine for me. You know where to find me.
Of course.
I will probably go with Labiana. I suspect the rhetoric teacher will be just as bad to me as a theatre, I fear.
We can always be dominated into submitting to our will.
That could cause problems. Yes,
Also, I will at some point will be going to the public market, open market. I intend to buy some things for my friends. If you would like to join me and buy some things for yourselves, then I thought that we could do it together.
Okay.
That could be a
Some trinkets of interest.
I think now's a good time. We're going to take 10 minutes. When we come back, I will pull everybody individually, and we will start doing individual stuff. All right?
Awesome.
to me.
All right, cool. See you guys in 10 minutes. All right, guys, I think we're back. Back to gaming here. Okay. All right. Let's start with Nicodemus, because I think he had the clearest idea of what he wanted to do. So tonight, you've had your meeting. You've briefly discussed what you wanted to do during your stay here in Athens. Nicodemus, you have several things you wanted to do.
Indeed.
So let's go ahead and at least do one before we move on to other people and circle back to you.
Gotcha. Shalmath is the natural first target because there's like a clear defined goal there. So Nicodemus probably remembers how to get to the Great Library and what puzzles to do.
Okay, the puzzle is different. One thing I would like to say as you go through the streets and you make your way towards the Acropolis and the hidden library that is hidden in the base of it, one thing you notice is different squads, several squads of guards, armed men. They are patrolling the streets, and you see them several times, different squads, basically bothering travelers and bothering certain people, homelessness and stuff like that. Essentially checking paperwork, and they're being real dicks about it. They don't bother you this time, but it's a possibility that you are going to get stopped at some point while you're here. It's behavior, very thuggish behavior, to note.
Interesting. That wasn't before.
No, it was not like that before.
Is there any particular reason in history that why might this happen?
At a guess, it would be, even though Athens is technically has a status of a free city, there is a Roman governor of the area, and just that the way the taxes and stuff works, the governor is essentially in charge of collecting taxes, and anything he collects in excess of what he is obliged to provide back to Rome goes into his pockets. So this is pretty much him making money.
Ah,
But for tonight, you are unmolested. You do make your way to the base of the Acropolis. Takes you a little while to get there. The streets twist and turn. They're different than the last time you were here. The statues that were here the last time are no longer here. It's a series of engravings, looks like. Little slabs set at various spots. Just give me a quick intelligence and enigmas roll. Add 3 dice for people helping you, please.
what do you mean for people helping me?
Because I'm sure Albina and Labiana and Hatshepsut would probably help you solve this riddle.
If we are together, yeah, of no help.
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
It wasn't Nicodemus alone. My mistake.
I mean, unless you guys specifically say, I'm not helping Nicodemus, he does it on his own effort. Fuck that guy.
Did Nicodemus invited Decius as well, or
It doesn't matter. He easily succeeds with more than a required number of successes. You solve the riddle, which is based on Aristotle's work on the elements, arranging a certain pattern, and the hidden door, the sorcerously hidden door, opens to you. You step inside. It's been quite a long time since you were in the library, but it doesn't look to have changed too much. The set of steps that twists a couple of times going in into the tunnel, the lamps that cast light. There's the antechamber as you enter with a study table is still there. And the table is probably still the same. The hallway leading off to the guest areas is still there, and the door to the library itself, which is as usual shut. At the guest table, there are 3 people studying some documents and making notes.
Are there any kind of servants?
There is a pool next to the door for the library that you remember would ring a bell or something to summon that Shalmuth is needed.
Sure, let's do it.
Right. You pull the rope. You feel something on the other end swing and move. Last time you were here, it was a bell of some kind. Probably still the same. Eventually, the door opens, and Shalmuth steps out. He looks exactly the same as you would expect. Curly-haired, curly beard, same style of robes. Steps out. He says, well, you've all solved my riddle, and so therefore you are welcome at least into this antechamber. How can I help you?
Is there a particular way of greeting towards them that Nicodemus recalls?
No, just Shalmuth is fine.
Good evening. Good evening, Shalmuth. It has been quite some time that I've visited it. I'm pleased to see that you're in good health. And I wish a moment of discussion. I bring word from your grandsire, among other things.
He looks like he's trying to remember who you are. Because it has been a long-ass time.
Well, out of character, did you mean grandchild?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, he's got this puzzled look on his face, like he's like your name's on the tip of his tongue and he can't quite remember.
Nicodemus.
Oh, right. Yes. Oh, yes, the Nosferatu guest of mine that went with you. That's right. It's been a long time. It's good to see that you've managed to survive and hopefully thrive.
Oh yes, this has been quite fruitful for myself and for the rest of my friends that you can see. Unfortunately, as for Sybil, we bring bad news.
Oh, well, so as not to disturb my other guests, why don't we head off to one of the chambers down the hallway here, and we can talk in comfort.
I would be honored.
He leads you guys all to a room, which will be, if you all go in, it'll be kind of cramped. It's not very spacious. Offers a chair to Nicodemus. He takes a chair. There's one more, and then the standing room only. So he sits down. He says, "Oh, I'm eager to hear what you have to say. Please go on."
Yes. Regarding the perhaps the least pleasant matter, your protege Sybil has met her final death, unfortunately, through a ballet plot. Nonetheless, this has been one troublesome ordeal. but fortunately, those ones responsible have been dealt with.
Well, you understand I will insist on further details later.
Of course, as much as we can give, we will give.
Oh, excellent. What other news have you?
Uh, uh, Going from the most important ones to the least important ones, you'll be pleased to hear that your grandchild, Libris, has made successfully his heaven in Rome, or rather at the outskirts of Rome, and is currently pursuing his interest in stellar bodies, uh, celestial bodies, and has tasked me with sharing some of his findings with you. Um, if it is by your will, we will transport those recordings in scroll print to your library.
Oh, yes, by all means, bring it here. Well, I'm glad and eager to see them, and hopefully they will be a worthy contribution.
He also passes. Can't remember if he left a letter of any kind.
It would have been in the crate.
Yeah.
Right.
He also passed some of a personal letter. I believe I'll find it in one of those crates, and but I know he'll be eager to hear uh, if you remain in good condition, and that your own pursuits have been fruitful.
Oh, things have been the same as always for me. Guests and more guests, and never enough time to pursue my own studies.
Were they all that distracting?
Oh, well. In all honesty, I could use a assistant, someone who cares as much about it as I do, someone to handle their requests while I am able to go back to doing what I like to do instead of the burden I have voluntarily taken.
I'm confused. You seem to imply that it's a big deal to find a properly minded individual. I expect Athens has plenty to offer.
One who can be trusted, one who can withstand the burden of years upon years upon years of dry dustiness and perhaps impatient guests, one who has the diplomatic ability to handle competing requests, balance the priorities of importance. It's quite a trial.
Had I not been involved in tasks of my own, it would seem like a dream job for me. I'm not sure if he gets the jest or not.
Uh, Actually, he doesn't. perhaps if perhaps if you have a few hundred years to spare at some point in the future, come talk to me about it.
I'll consider it. Um, Having been to be acquainted with such a repository of knowledge um, within my reach, uh, it's clearly a wet dream. Speaking of, I have a little gift for you. Perhaps in your spare time, when you're finding that you have trouble sleeping or whatever else, please, please accept this little token. And Nicodemus offers another gift he has prepared for the journey. It's a little riddle that revolves about the essence of existence and has been one of the findings in somehow in Abinadab's library. It's uh, in a little more exotic language. Forgive me if I don't state what it is, but it probably would be easily be transcribable.
He takes it and he looks at it for a few minutes and he says, "Oh my, it's a I haven't seen this language in how many hundred rotations of the Earth? My, 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 my. Where did you ever get this?
It would be impetuous for me to say that that anything that there are libraries that exceed this one, but it managed to find its way to in my departed mentor's library in Rome. You'll find that upon translation, some of the construction are rather feisty, but I hope it will find you entertained for at least an evening.
One day when I have no guests, I will make it a priority. You notice when he sets the scroll down, it doesn't curl up. It stays exactly in the. When he unrolls it and he looks at it and he sets it down, it just sits there. It doesn't like spring up like you would expect a normal scroll would roll up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Is there anything to be glimpsed from that? Does it recall anything? And
No, it's just something unusual. Like, huh, that's weird.
As an out of character guess, Nicodemus has been subjected to.
This is nothing you've ever seen.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he's been subjected to temporis once, and he realized there was something tinkering with the time. But no.
Yeah, this doesn't affect you.
Okay. So nothing to.
Right. Nothing to feel or understand. It's just like, man, that's a nice trick.
Scroll handling technique. Maybe he can teach it to you. If you ask him to teach you how to handle stuff.
Very useful. It is my plan to stay around Athens for quite a while. Would you permit me to browse some of the library's repertoire?
That depends on your subject matter, and the more you give me, the more subject matter I will open to you.
Aside from from those little trinkets and the services I've provided, I have little else to offer by other than perhaps other boons in the future. But I would wish to some more time to study my clan's own lore.
Fear not. I have a. I know exactly what I need from you.
Oh, this sounds intimidating. But do tell me.
You and all of your companions, if I would like a complete timeline with your thoughts, commentary, everything, minute to minute, if possible, of your involvement from the day you landed to the day you left in the teardown of Carthage. I have been gathering this information for many years now and attempting to gather the perspective of every single Canaanite that was there.
I assume you also desire more intimate facts revolved to it, related to it?
I would like to know all of it. Every thought, every gory, every time a drop of blood was spilled, every moment of revulsion, or pride, or happiness, anger, every instant, play by play, as it were. Everything you can know and remember and imagine.
So, out of character, just during the period of the Punic Wars?
Siege of Carthage, if I understood.
Yes, essentially the siege of Carthage.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, I was just curious.
all of us there? Or is that just Nicodemus that is hearing this?
In return for your everyone's cooperation, I will grant access to each of you, access to some. You are providing me with history, I will provide you access to history. And Nicodemus, as you have provided me extra, what else would you like opportunity to research? I offer you all the opportunity to have history of the city.
I think I can go along with that. If anything, it sounds like a noble enough endeavor.
Yes, that sounds good. History of the city.
But you've provided me more than just this, Nicodemus, so what else would you like?
I for the diary about Carthage, I ask of Salubri lore. Then perhaps you would know more about the myths about origins of our own kind.
That is a subject of which I am. My books are thin. However, I will provide you access to what little I have.
Whatever little you have, it probably exceeds whatever I have gleaned so far. The past of our kind is indeed shrouded in mystery and forgetfulness.
Very well then. Tonight I will open up the archives for you to look. And hopefully over the next several nights and perhaps months, perhaps years, your accounts will come trickling back to me. Agreed, everyone?
Sorry, our what?
Your accounts.
We will.
Oh,
Surely you
Well-
do not expect to
Timelines.
write a full week of memories in 2 weeks. After all, what time would that leave you to browse history and to browse Athens and to do other lessons?
A question. With these, I expect that some of the less savory details that you might write would be kept in the dark, would not see the light of day. They would be for your eyes only.
Include those on separate documents and note that for me.
I was actually out of character wondering the same thing, if it was going to be pertinent to leave some stuff out.
I cannot make you tell me the full truth. I can only rely on your integrity and your willingness to hold to a bargain made.
But we
Listen.
will, of course, give you as much information as we can regarding Carthage.
Listen, am I there right now? Just to be
I don't know, are
clear.
you?
I think I am. I don't
Okay,
know.
then you are.
So I'm going to just say, you see, if you want every detail, then it means that when I send this account, it has to be traveling securely, which means that I will have to give it to you personally, which means that it might take some time before I actually give you the account. because I honestly don't know when I will be returning to Athens.
Well, I believe that's what I just said, isn't it? That if you were to spend every minute of every day and every night writing, when would you have time to come read?
I I think we're just uh, I think there's just some confusion about the specifics. I believe we're all agreed on the broad strokes. Yes,
Of course.
we will give uh, we will give as detailed and truthful account we can give without cause without, in the cases of some, perhaps risking immense danger to ourselves. And we shall get it delivered as soon as is reasonably possible. In exchange, we gain the ability to browse for the duration of our visit.
To browse the history of Athens.
Yes.
Does
Which
that
we
be,
will
wait? Did we agree
greatly
that it has to be
appreciate.
same for everyone?
Yep.
Okay, so it's not like depends on the person. Okay.
So this deal is just for history of Athens, right?
Your history of Carthage for his history of Athens.
Okay.
Seems like a fair trade.
I am
That,
perfectly
that,
willing to accept this deal.
And Nicodemus, since you came bearing extra, you get extra access.
which was for the history and myths of our kind.
Correct.
It's like a collector's edition.
Deluxe.
Uh,
Now, understand all of you. I think only one of you has been in my library before. There are sections, shelving, that are dangerous to touch. It's dangerous to open the scrolls, and sometimes the danger is what is contained within.
Oh yeah, I just remembered.
The magical words.
Yeah, I just remembered this guy had a ward on one of his doors.
Yeah, I hate it.
I completely forgot about that.
So understand when I tell you, don't touch it, I mean it's for your own protection. Don't touch it.
We understand.
So that's understandable.
Good. Well, then allow me to let you through the doors. You may exit. You may not re-enter without me.
Yes, of course.
Of course.
Do not take anything from here, except your own notes.
We would not dream it. That would be sacrilege.
Okay. He leads you to the door. He opens the door. He allows you in. It is many rows of. They look like diamond cubbies, mostly. Diamond-shaped cubby holes, like you would see like a wine rack, you know? Only there are many
Ah, yeah.
circular, tightly packed documents in some of them. Some of them have 4, 5, 6 of these rolled up scrolls. Some of them have one. There is a section of shelves in which it is copper, and there are a number of clay tablets as well, about the size of your palm. And these are all stacked in shelving.
Copper scrolls.
He leads a
Oh,
lot
yeah,
of you
okay,
over
bit of a-
to the history of Athens, which is actually quite close to the door, and it has a fairly large number of scrolls in it. And he points out exactly where it stops. Here's where it stops. Do not attempt to put anything back. When you're done with it, roll it up and tell me.
Of course.
And then he takes Nicodemus to another section, which is very thinly populated. There's maybe 9 or 10 rolled up. Actually, it's not even the scrolls, it is the clay tablets. And he says, these are among the most fragile of my collection. They are copies of copies of copies of some of the old tales. Do you read Babylonian?
Checking. I don't think so.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, that's probably.
Babylon.
Do any of
Come
us
on,
read
Nicodemus.
Babylonian?
How can't you speak Babylonian? Jeez.
I have everything else, but not Babylonian.
Except Babylonian.
Now he has to sit with you and explain everything.
Well, that's not his fault.
Yeah, that's true.
He
For you
so
to
he
translate.
sorts through a couple, and he says, "Well, if you don't read Babylonian, this and this and this will be useless." Sumerian's pretty close. You might be able to kind of get the gist if you read Sumerian.
Yeah,
You
we're
should.
with that.
All right, so you're going to get some of the context then, if you want to read these. Some of these over here are Sumerian, and he points out a couple that are written in even more ancient languages. In fact, one is written in Enochian, which I think you do read.
Yep.
He says, this is perhaps the oldest. One of your brethren wrote this for me, translated it, and copied and wrote it for me. So it's as accurate as I can promise. As accurate as such things tend to be, anyways. It's not much. What do we got here? And he counts up 11, 12 of these clay tablets. Not much. But it is yours to browse.
It is more than I thought I would receive. Thank you.
Okay. You guys are essentially have the rest of the night to browse these items. I will write you guys some stuff that you find out. You want me to I can write it or I can describe it? You guys tell me.
I think writing will be better for all of us.
Yeah, writing good. It will
Writing just so that we can be sure we don't forget.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Look back
And,
now.
and
Gotcha.
also for you to not forget something important, maybe, while describing it, kind of.
All right. So, Decius, you spend the night here. Maybe it interests you. Maybe it doesn't. Do you have a lot of academics?
I have academics of 2.
You
So-
got some.
Basic, yeah,
Yeah.
like average.
Well, you average for a rich man in Rome. Quite amazing for anybody in the world at the moment.
Probably.
Okay, so we're going to fast forward tonight. Mark off a blood point. There is messages waiting for you. This man and this man, A and B, are 2 excellent rhetorical teachers. They teach rhetoric, speeches. You may find them and it describes how to find them.
Wait, to be clear, is this 2 different teachers, or is this like a double act?
2 different teachers.
Okay.
So, it's up to you. Do you go talk to one of them, or do you just say, screw it, I got other stuff to do?
This is the next night, right?
Yes.
Okay. I think I think I will be starting to visit them, or one of them at least, and start seeing which will be the better teacher for me. I will ask Nicodemus if he wants to come or if he will be in the library.
How long would getting through these tablets take?
To read, understand, and really learn them is going to take at least a week.
Oh Jesus!
That's
Oh, well.
that's all the tablets, all the scrolls, all the stuff.
What
Like
about
even the stuff you don't
copying
have.
them for personal use?
If you're going to start copying them, let's add 3 more nights. So you're going to spend at least 10 of your 14 nights in with Shalmuth.
Let's just stick to 1 week then.
Okay. Nicodemus, give me a intelligence and academics roll at difficulty 6. If you get 5 successes, you manage to memorize them enough to copy them perfectly when you put them down, when you write them back down.
Sure. Let's burn a willpower on that.
You got this. I see a 7 success.
No, just
3.
3 successes.
Okay. You know that you don't quite get it perfect, but you put them down as best as you can remember. But you do remember, you do know, you're like, man, I wish I'd copied this one down and this one down, because I know I didn't quite. If you've remembered, oh man, you ever take a test and you're like, crap, I wish I wrote that down better. So yeah, it's that exact same feeling.
Mm-hmm.
But you record them well enough that
The context is
the context is still there.
You got down most of it.
which can be a bitch upon translation.
So I assume Nicodemus is not joining me, at least for the first week.
That's right.
Okay, then I will go alone to the people in the list.
All right. Roll me a charisma plus intimidation roll, and add 3 dice for your bodyguards.
Is it actively scaring someone or passively?
This is passive, so you're not being
okay.
bothered.
Okay, well, I'm going to, because I'm alone, I will have my 2 bodyguards with me.
Like I said,
Titus and Lucius.
that's why I said add 3 dice.
Oh, okay, I didn't hear that, sorry. Okay, rolling in charisma intimidation, right?
Yes.
What is the difficulty?
6.
Okay, it's lagging.
Okay, yeah. The crowds part for you. Nobody bothers you.
Cool.
Hashtag Ventry.
Don't jinx me. This
All
is my
right.
first and only lucky roll.
Yes, the crowds part for you and your two men. One of whom essentially has a sledgehammer on his back. So you make your way to the small house, following the excellent directions. It's a small place, essentially a single room place. Everyone's gathered around a central fire pit, a central hearth. It's an older man and his family. You make your way there, and you knock on the door?
That would be the appropriate thing to do, right? Just knock
Yes.
on the door.
Yes.
Yeah. I will gently knock on the door, put on my gentlest face to not scare the person.
All right. He opens the door. It's a kid. Opens the door. Says, "Yes, sir. How can I help you?"
I will say the name of the teacher, and I will ask, is that name here?
This old man
am-
gets up. He's got a cane that he's like leaning on, and he makes his way over to you. And he says, he's like, "Huh? What? It's getting pretty late, son. What do you need?"
Are you? I don't know.
Teacher blah. Doesn't matter. Teacher.
Yeah, teacher Blah. Yeah, are you the teacher?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. I am looking for a teacher to teach me rhetorics. I heard from my friends your name that you were a good teacher, a skilled one.
Oh, best one in all of Athens. Oh, at least I used
Does
to
he-
be. Ha.
Does he seems to be telling the truth or fucking
I
with
mean,
me?
he's an old dude. What do you want? He could be telling you a
Okay.
war story right now. You have no idea.
Okay.
On the other hand, if he is successfully spitting bullshit for that, that just shows that he has some skill.
Yeah. Well, I think the first night is just to see if I got the connection with this dude. So I will move on. I will keep on talking with him. For the moment. Well, as I said, they pointed towards you, and I asked for a good rhetoric teacher, and I wanted to come and give it a visit, see if it will be a nice 2 weeks of education for me while I am at one of the best cities when it comes to art of speech.
Well, son, I'd invite you in and you and your men in to have a seat and share our fire, but times are tough these nights, and I'm sure strapping young, wealthy men like yourself have better ways to warm yourself up. So, if you'd like to sit down, perhaps relieve yourself of some of your heavy burdens so that we may warm ourselves by its weight.
I see. I
Yeah,
will.
that was-
I will smile with that, and I will say, "I see, old man. Well,
Like,
of
yeah, that was
course,
subtle.
of course, I would. While I am at front of your door, I would not wish to see you. Well, while I have the abilities, I would not wish to see you. Uh, be in the state that you are. Well, why don't you take me in, and I will give you some of my burden, share it with you, and we can discuss further."
He opens the door, invites you in. You guys have to sit in the dirt.
It's okay.
It's
I-
on carpets, but yeah.
Okay. Well, this user's hands are dirty, so he will sit on it without issue.
I know there isn't going to be a serious yes as an answer to this, but I feel the need to ask it anyway. This guy's name happened to be Gorgeous.
No, I have no idea. I don't know what his name is, and I honestly don't get the joke. So
Oh, he was a sophist that lived an absurdly long time, like 108.
yeah, and he's not the guy who told the king to get out of his sunlight either.
Um, well, I might talk more later, but for now I don't want to interrupt too much.
All right. They offer you a little bit of stew that's in the pot, and the old man sits down. He's sitting by the fire. We're pretty close to it. I assume you are not pretty close to it.
Yeah, I'm not pretty close to it. I have a fair amount of distance between myself and the fire, but I also have a little bit, pride in my fortitude, so I'm not too far away from it either.
Well, your beast is crawling in your head like you're a fucking idiot. You don't be this close to it, man. Yeah, the sparks are gonna get you. So,
Okay.
Anyways,
I
it's
guess I
it's
will
not
take.
enough to make a roll. It's just yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to push away that thought, like inside myself, get the fuck away from me, beast. Like,
So he sits down. Oh God! He takes a seat eventually. Picks up his cup of wine, starts drinking. Says, "So you want to learn rhetoric, then, son? So
yes. Of course, it's a little broad aspect, so I might have to go into a little bit details, especially when it comes to rhetoric. I'm looking forward to expanding my, how to put it, my expression. I want to make my sound more taking seep in the minds of the people listening it. I want to express my words with elegance, more elegance and effectiveness, if you understand what I mean.
you wish that your words to become inescapable, to take root like a tenacious weed in the minds of your listener, to influence their thoughts, to provide shade in the glorious light of the sun, to be as wine to the thirsty. Is that what you mean?
That's a nice way to describe it, yes.
I believe I can accommodate these lessons. What time were you thinking?
Well, because of the circumstances, I can only be able to attend lessons at nightly hours. But it shouldn't be too much trouble because I want to be staying in Athens more than 2 weeks, so it shouldn't create too much trouble in your sleeping schedules. And I will make sure that the accommodations you are given will compensate staying awake at night hours.
Okay, well, let's see. I'm trying to do a conversion to Roman stuff here. Roman coinage. Let's just do it by weight. And he begins negotiating, bargaining with you. Obviously, he starts high. Give me a quick charisma and commerce roll.
Okay. Difficulty?
6.
Well, it's at least not a botch.
Okay.
I
You
just
know that you're overpaying here. You're not sure how much you're overpaying by, but out of character, it's a lot.
let's see. Well, does the person I don't really that much care about the money I'm giving. I'm caring about how good he is at haggling, like how good he is
He's
with
really
his
good.
words. And
He beat you by a
I,
lot of successes.
okay, yeah, I'm just trying to pay attention how good he is. This is more about me trying to see if he's actually good at this kind of stuff or a bad person actually.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Your first job as my teacher is to scam me,
Yeah.
essentially.
yeah, I want my teacher to scam me successfully and with style, you know. So yeah, I pay the man what he wants, assuming that I have the means to do so.
If you do any more shopping while you're here, you're going to be shopping on credit.
Okay, I understand. Um,
That's how many
Yeah.
successes he beat you by. You're shopping on credit.
okay,
Wow.
that's okay. I can handle 5 credits. So, well, after paying the man what he wants, I will ask him if he wants to start right away. I would prefer to start right away, or if he wants to start tomorrow, or
Okay.
the next
All right.
night.
He's rocking a lot of dice to teach you. Come on,
Okay.
why can't I type today? GM roll 8d10. After you're going to roll 9d10. Charisma plus expression. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, roll 6 dice for me, please. Roll
Okay.
intelligence plus 6.
Okay. Can I spend willpower?
Sure. This is
Okay.
this is an entire week of lessons. Actually, we're gonna say 10 days of lessons. 10 full nights of lessons. Get you this.
Okay.
Roll intelligence plus 6.
Yes. Okay, so that's also 1 willpower spend. So it's 4
4.
success.
Yeah, you gain 4 experience points to buy either rhetoric specialty or to buy expression.
Okay, what would be rhetoric specialty, just to be clear?
You could buy expression rhetoric or performance rhetoric.
Let's see.
The difference lies in how you approach the topic.
Right, but I meant more like the rhetoric part. What does the rhetoric part
Rhetoric
entail
is
in
public
this case?
and passionate speaking.
Okay.
If you take it as expression, you specialize in using emotions to get your way.
I see.
If you take it as performance, you are literally acting a certain way to hit certain notes. It's the difference between somebody giving a genuine, passionate speech, a civil rights activist, versus a TV personality.
I see.
They're both good
think-
at expression. They just do it 2 different ways.
Yeah. I think. Do I have to do this right now?
No,
Spend them.
you have 4. Just write it down.
Okay.
All right,
And it's for the
that's
10
you
days.
for 10 days, 10 nights. All right, Hatshepsut, what's on your agenda?
I'm just going to tag along with Labiana because,
Okay.
yeah, I suspect, I don't know, I don't know,
That's fine. Albina,
yeah.
what would you like to do?
I think she's going to be studying on the library that she has given access.
Okay. Would you like to make copies of the stuff that you're reading?
Yes.
Okay. That's 10 full nights of labor for you then. All right, Labiana.
But during those 10 nights, she also be able to hunt.
Well, that'd be stretch it to 11 then, but sure.
Remember, you're only allowed to hunt 1 night.
We'll come back to the hunting actions. Labiana, what would you like to do?
Okay, well, of course, the one thing she really wants to do is to visit that necropolis.
Alrighty. You and Hatshepsut are taking a journey north. Is who all or what all is going with you? Retainers, servants, the various homunoculi. What have you got?
Well, she will of course be taking her various 4 homunculi.
Mm-hmm.
Which she's all given names, by the way. She's got Pedicus, Oculus, Manicus, and Cranius.
I'm curious. Does it happen? When does it happen in the 2-week scope?
What? While you're in the library.
Okay.
Yeah, well, essentially she's going to spend 1 night sort of exploring the necropolis. I mean, I don't know, well, if it take one night.
I'll take my hound ball
Okay.
just in case.
Yep. Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to take more than one night to really explore it. If you just go and you're like, "Hey, it's an Acropolis. Woohoo, I was here." Okay, whatever.
Oh, okay. So she'd want to, after sort of being given access to that part of the library, she'd try and split her time between those two.
Yeah, so you read it. You spend about 3.5, 4 nights there reading. Um, but are you making copies
Of,
of the library
like, we're
stuff?
talking the library. Anything that she would find relevant. So probably not all of it, but anything that might catch her eye.
To you, there's actually probably very little that you find relevant here in terms of the history of Athens, unless you were looking for a bunch of names. But honestly, for you, not really. Right. So you and Hatshepsut are in the same boat. Hatshepsut, yeah, she read the same stuff you did. Okay, cool, whatever. Nothing really strikes her fancy either. Um, Journey to the necropoli. For many centuries, Athens used to burn its dead, but about 100 years ago, with the rise of the aristocratic class, I almost tripped over that word, began building tombs again, and mausoleum, and going back to doing mass graves for the poor. So this necropolis is a mixture of many mass graves, um, areas where the dead have been burned, and several magnificent mausoleums, along with a scattering of mausoleums that are much poorer, but they're better than a mass grave. And there is one open pit right now that is has several rotting bodies in it.
Well, at this point, as Labiena's walking through, Hatshepsut would visibly notice Labiena sort of looking around like someone would in a museum or an art gallery. She's going, oh, this is so cool.
Hat will probably be fairly interested.
Hatshepsut, you have certain merit that hasn't come into play for quite a long time.
Oh yes, I do. I'd almost forgotten about that.
Um, that is, I believe, the medium merit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a perception plus occult roll, if I remember correctly.
It could reasonably occult or awareness, but occult is better for me, so if you're willing to let me do occult, then I'll use occult.
Yes, go. By all means, go for it.
The spirit thing, isn't it?
Whew.
You got specialty?
Wow.
Not for Wraith, sadly.
You hear near the mass graves, especially, whispers, indistinct, but definitely of supernatural origin. Cries, a few howls, sounds like a wind blowing, like if you put your ear to an extremely thin wall during a windstorm, you can hear that wind just barely, even though you don't feel anything.
Seems that they're not exactly fully restful here.
Indeed. Kind of gives Labiena a pause for a moment. And all of a sudden, she's tempted to have another go at casting the Call of the Hungry Dead ritual.
Ooh, fun, fun, fun. Let's look her up because it's been quite a long time since you had a chance to use that.
It has. That's right. So perception plus occult roll of difficulty 9. Oh wait.
Nope. So you're gonna roll your intelligence plus occult difficulty 4. The celebrant chants and scatters a handful of black beans, which I know you always carry with you. It takes about 10 minutes. And at the end, you light a black candle and burn a single hair from a target, which can be your hair.
Yeah, she's Labiena's going to want to be the one to hear what they have to say.
Um,
I was going to say, otherwise, can she only burn the one hair?
You have to burn a hair in order to make the ritual successful because it targets a person, so you burn hair from the target.
basically, it would be one casting though.
But only one target
Correct.
as such. I was going to say, unless... I suppose before she casts the ritual, she'd offer for a Hatshepsut to be the target.
Oh, please, by all means, you first. If it's interesting, then maybe I will follow on afterwards if you are willing. But otherwise, otherwise, I'm content to make some notes.
Of course.
Just out of curiosity, I'm not sure if this is something you actually know, Chris. Do these Greek necropoli have like much in the way of effigies, murals, basically representations of the deceased?
Some of them have busts, statues. Some of them don't. The magnificent ones absolutely do have a idealized version of its occupants. To put it nicely.
Here goes nothing.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you spend 10 minutes singing, dancing, chanting. Oh, no, the spirits of the dead. Oh, hear my call. Respond to the flame. Speak to the wind and blood. And, chanting, chanting, chanting. And you pluck a hair and you burn it. Nothing. Like, is this thing working? Did I do it right?
Yeah. She's just kind of like looking around. Obviously questions swirling through her mind. Did I do it right? Did Hatshepsut really hear what she said she heard?
That'd be fun just to have the medium merit and then constantly fuck with a necromancer by saying that was racial activity while there wasn't any.
That'd be fun. I'll put in. Well, she'd be tempted to put in another 10 minutes and try.
Okay, I'll let you cast the ritual one more time, and then you are out of materials.
Sounds good. Now, I don't know if we can spend willpower.
Yes, you can, because this is not a willpower roll. Did everything drop? Can you guys hear me?
No, area.
Okay.
Should be rolling again.
Alrighty. Hey, there you go. This time, you cast the ritual, again chanting to the dead. The dread spirits of the other side, respond to my call. Chant into the circle. Whisper of the underworld and all things to the target which I send here to you to guide your voices to them. And chant and chant and chant. And all of a sudden you are here as it's speaking directly into your ear, screams, howls, moans, groans of pain, hundreds of voices talking at the same time. It's like being in a huge loud party. And we're not talking a cocktail party. We're talking some raging, freaking college, university throwdown with a World Cup series of soccer on TV, and everybody screaming and drunk hollering. And now for a perception plus occult roll difficulty 9 to actually understand what the hell is going on, to be able to parse it, separate it. Awesome. Love it. For as long as that black candle burns, you hear the voices. But you slowly force them into some semblance of order so that you can see and hear and understand what the hell is going on around you. It's still a cacophony, but their voice, they're howling, I want my mother. Why am I subject to this? I was loyal. I worship Zeus. Oh, Hera, save us. Oh, why? Oh, Hades. We're all waiting on Charon. Oh, I was buried with the coins. Oh, this is awful. And it's just like hundreds of these voices all speaking in some variant of stuff like that.
So as she comes out of her state, Laviana will look around for a moment, sort of into the pit, with a bit of a perplexed look on her face.
Is something the
Over it.
matter?
She then proceeds to look over at Hatshepsut. People no, it's hard to describe. These people did not seem to appreciate the circumstances with which they died. I mean, of course, no one else, but it's almost as if there was something untoward going.
Hmm.
But I can't quite put my finger on it. So, in addition, she'll describe some of the words that she heard, just to give Hatshepsut context on what she was hearing.
Does any of it sound like exceptionally unusual to what little she understands?
It sounds like a bunch of poor Greeks who are brought up on the myths are complaining about the afterlife.
Hmm. Well, I can say that to the traditional cultures of my own people, this place would be seen as a very poor showing indeed. But beyond that, I have been told that all too often the tales of an uplifting paradise in death are just tales designed to encourage complacency. A shame, really.
I suppose there's something else that Labiena's kind of struggling with, sort of going over and over these voices that she was hearing, and the common sort of the common thread of the calling out of the gods, and how obviously they believed in them in life, but obviously there was some level of acknowledgement. Again, I don't know how to describe it.
You're listening to the disappointment and um, the fact that you can't see what they're complaining about. You just know that whatever they're seeing on that side is not what they
What they were
expected.
expecting.
It's
Yeah.
to them it's terrible. It's tearing them apart, almost literally.
One
This
thing,
is not a happy existence.
one thing I do know is that these people were very devout in their beliefs before they died. That I can say for sure.
Or maybe they weren't devout, and it's only after death that they were like, "Oh man, I screwed up. I should have prayed harder. I should have offered more sacrifices."
For that.
So, you guys have anything else you would like to do in the necropolis? Any exploring, grave robbing, anything?
Uh,
Suppose what chips at first.
uh I'm mostly just going to be exploring, making notes, keeping an eye on Labiana.
I suppose there is one other thing Labiena would to do.
Sure, I'd love to hear it.
Because I think there is another ritual she has not yet been able to use, and she would like to try.
What's she gonna try?
An intact corpse with an eye left in it.
Okay,
Not for a homunculi, but for the final sight ritual.
so you head to the open pit grave, and um, you hop down in there. You begin. When you hop down in there, first off, it is an open pit. It reeks. It's awful. The buzzing of flies, so thick. Even in the dark, you can see the white of maggots crawling over the dead flesh. Uh, you can't physically, you can't even really breathe here. There's a scent of death and rot. Is so incredibly thick in the air. And when you hop down into the pit, you slide down the muddy embankment, dirt crumbling all over you, and you hit the couple of corpses, and your feet squish and sink into them. And it feels like you're stepping in the gushy river mud, and rotted juices bubble up over your sandals, get in between your toes, and the skin bursts, and noxious gases that were inside just come out in a visible miasma of incredible odor. This has already impregnated your clothing. When you get out of here, you're going to smell like death.
So then I already do.
All right, so you begin grabbing bodies, pulling them. Occasionally, the limbs will come off in your hand because you're grabbing greenish, rotted flesh, and the skin just like peels. You grab it, and the skin just peels off and leaves the bone with strips of ligament and little bits of rotted muscle to flop back down in the pile. You begin sifting through these corpses. You do eventually find one with an intact face and eye.
So this ritual is dropping a dripping a few drops of blood on the eye and saying a brief prayer for their soul, and then rolling the intelligence plus occult. In this case, difficulty.
It's going to be difficulty 4. Ah, 4 successes. You receive a clear image with sound of the half hour before the subject's death. So, Hatchetsit, what you see is Labiana takes out a little dagger, makes a little prick in her hand, or thumb or something, dribbles a few precious drops of vitae in the eye. She kneels down and she says a prayer to Dispater, to guide the dead man's soul and allow him to share his final moments with her. And then she sits down and she doesn't move for half an hour. Labiana, what you see is a man who is out hauling manure. He has got a big bag, heavy bag. You don't quite get the sensations, but you see him. He moans, he groans, he throws the bag over his shoulder. Obviously, it's heavy. His back is bent. He drags it from place to place, picking up clods of manure. He doesn't even have a shovel, just has to use his hands. Going around in the bright sunlight, the heat, he's so hot. You can see he's sweating badly, and occasionally he stops and he has to rub his chest. Oh, and he's breathing heavy, sweating buckets. Tries to pick up the bag, stumbles and falls. Somebody riding across kicks him. Get out of the way, old man! Now pick up your bag. Get out of here! They help him along with a kick to the ass, and he gets back up again, drags it a few more steps, and falls over again. And people just walk over him, ignoring him. The squads of Roman guardsmen, get up, man, get up! You're in the way of traffic. He can't fight back. Oh, he's screaming, oh, please help me. Oh, please, I feel like I'm dying. And they just rifle through his pockets and take whatever couple little coins he has, enough to pay the death fee, and they drop him on the ground on a sack of shit, literal sack of shit.
Kurt, wewnętrznej kieszeni, po lewej stronie.
And they walk away, and the man eventually expires, dropped where he lays. And as she is experiencing this vision, Hatshepsut, 2 men walk up. One is dressed as a kind of like hoplite armor. has a spear, sword. The other one is dressed in your standard Greek outfit. He's got a bag of something with him. They both have cross-shaped scars on their forehead. A cross-shaped scar that you have seen almost nightly.
Oh?
Oh, yes. You've never seen these men before, but you've seen that scar. They walk up, they look at you, they look at Labiena, and the guy in the armor's like, "Why are you desecrating these people's corpses?"
She, my friend wishes to understand the moments leading up to their death. I, I will try to. We will try to put things back in order before we leave. Yeah, I get it now.
I was going to say Labiena is obviously kind of jolted out of her little.
Um, the third eye
Oh,
opens, and he's looking at Hatshepsut, and Labiena, you hear this just as you're coming out of the trance. You have for as long as it takes me to assume a throwing stance to get her out of that pit. To get that thing, that desecrating witch, get it out.
Understood, Labiana. Best to leave now.
well, indeed, that was my intention. So I believe I've seen everything there is to see here.
Yeah, Hatshepsut, you have to lean down and grab her arm, help pull her out. Her whole body, her arms, her legs, her robes are just slicked with grave gore. It's disgusting. Labiana, your humanity's 4, I think, right?
I believe it is.
Let me check the humanity chart real quick. This may not be enough to actually trigger a humanity check on you.
You really need to start killing innocent people just for the fun of it.
To look at the chart. I've got the book open.
Road of Humanity. Monstrous vile acts, casual violation, planned violation, impassioned violation. No, I think you're okay. All right. Yeah, so you help her out, and it's like your arm where you had to help pull her out is just covered in the filth of grave debris. And the warrior looks at you guys and he says, "If I catch you in here again, you won't get a warning."
Of course, it won't happen. I can promise you that.
He stares at you as you guys go to leave. Hatshepsut, do you do anything?
I'm just gonna mention as I'm walking out. For the record, for what little it's worth, from the sounds of it, the poor souls here aren't really that happy anyway.
Are you rubbing it?
He just gestures. He gives you the "get the fuck out of here" gesture. Get out.
Yep,
All right. Hunting rules. Hunting scenes. Let's start with Nicodemus. And I don't want to hand wave the stuff with the theater, but if I have to, I'll do that over text with you. So hunting rolls, and your single night of hunting. How do you hunt, Nicodemus?
Usually stealth ambush, preying on people who are careless.
Okay. I would like you to make a hunting roll, and we're going to go through one hunt for each person. Um, Assuming it's successful, you guys can roll again to feed as much as you need to. But I want to go through at least one with everybody.
Does
Um,
willpower apply to it?
Willpower will apply.
Hmm?
Your difficulty 6.
So are we going to be?
Six
Sorry,
stealth.
are we going to be?
Go
Are we
ahead,
going to be doing
Laviana.
this on any particular night, so that we'll be down a
Uh,
specific number of blood, or
you just have to
When
decide when that is and how much blood you spend in between.
Nicodemus is probably going to do it on this third night. Roll 7 dice. That's 4 successes.
Okay. So you are hunting by stealth. You are slipping between alleyways, using your obfuscate, avoiding the piles of donkey and ox manure, even the human waste that is left because they don't have the sewers and flushing gutters of Rome. Stepping around all the midden heaps. You see a man in decent shape. He's not terribly drunk, just a little bit. Steps out, tells his companions, "Oh, I'll catch up to you guys in a minute." And he steps around the corner, unlimbers his member, and begins to urinate. He's a perfect opportunity for you to strike.
Nicodemus has done this countless times. He ensures that no one is looking, that the area is secure, and that no one is observing. He assaults the man in the peak of the moment,
Right.
and he only takes as much as to not endanger the man's life.
He's got the golden arc streaming out. Tilts his head back, giving the that expression on his face when your bladder's just bursting to full, and now you're finally letting loose that oh. And you come up behind him and you just grab him, and he's like, "What the hell?" And stream goes up and out everywhere. You pull him back into safety. You sink your teeth in his neck. He's like, "What the ah?" And he finishes relieving himself all over himself as you take what you need and you leave him in a heap, urine soaking his legs and his clothing, and yet your mouth full of delicious, satisfying blood. Albina, you roll, I think, appearance and subterfuge, right? Because you like to seduce people.
Yes.
Sorry, just wanted to ask. The single is the usual rules for Rome apply, meaning one victim. We get as many victims as we.
Yeah,
as we get.
I wanted to narrate one hunt for each person.
Okay. I guess Nicodemus leaves the premise without exceptional hate for himself. He's gotten used to it by now. He's just happy it hasn't
Yeah.
backfired in any way. He didn't have to hurt this person excessively or draw his attention to himself.
Right. Yeah, so you get 6 total because you do this a couple more times.
Not 8. Or
Oh, four.
successful.
Sorry, you said a willpower. So yes, it'd be 8.
To just cap it all, uh, to just wrap up Nicodemus's hunting role, it creates a sort of an issue for him because his blood pool is limited, and could uh, even if he could hunt even if he could hunt another time, um, he would run out of blood before the departure, and not run out of blood, but get below half
Mm-hmm.
Before their departure. So I guess he would elect to sate on animal blood
You could do
if
that,
really.
or you could ask somebody if you could hunt on their domain.
Oh, that's actually a fair point.
Right, Albina, you take a night off. You begin to prowl the wharves of the port area. You head to the few areas where people are gambling, having a good time. The drinks flow. You're trying to pick up a guy who's not too drunk because you don't really want to be under the effects of that. But he's got to be just drunk enough and just maybe somewhat desperate enough to ignore the chilling, cold, bone cold touch that you put off. You end up at this one seedy looking area where these guys are coming in. They all smell like fish guts. These are fishermen who have trekked up the hill from the port area. Looks like a couple of them are looking to pick up some prostitutes for the night, male or female. You don't know, but one of the guys sees you hanging out, dicing a little bit. Comes up to you. You start doing the whole flirty looks, smile here, smile there. Yeah, doing the thing that you've been doing so well for a couple hundred years now almost. And he starts hitting you up. He's like, so anybody buy you for the night yet? I need like to get a little something to warm my cot tonight.
I have not been hired yet, no.
Oh, well, he pulls out a little handful. He's like, well, what's your going price for tonight? Come on, baby, what's up?
She's going to give a average price. She's not going to some a believable price.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I tell you what, yeah, we come on. Let's do that. You got a place, or we can go back to my little bunk over here.
Maybe I bring some friends.
Do you have companionship in your bunker?
Well, no, I have a little bunk over in the corners. It's not much, but yeah, it's good enough for a little bit of privacy.
Let us go there then.
He um, takes you up to a small little area. The roof is kind of low. You got to crouch down and get in there. You crawl into the pile of hay. The clothes come off. You get up to a little bit of sexy time, and when the time is right, sink those teeth in and begin to feast. How much blood do you take?
She's going to take two.
All
She's
right.
not trying to. She's not trying to kill them. She knows that the props that she made to the Archon, she's hate to become his enemy because of sloppy feeding.
Um, he has completed having the best sex of his life, thanks to the vampiric kiss. You leave no trace of your feeding behind. Lick the blood off. Suck the last precious few smears that may have dripped down. Grab the straw. That one tiny drop of blood landed on the straw, and you hungrily, suck every little tiny bit off that you can get your lips around, and leave him passed out on his little pallet of hay. All right, Hatshepsut, how do you like to hunt?
We've been calling it the Austin Powers method.
The yeah, baby, charisma and
Charisma subterfuge, yeah.
charisma subterfuge. Yeah, let's go party.
Hmm.
Yeah. All right. Let's make me a hunting roll, please. A difficulty 6.
Should I modify it for my prey exclusion?
Yes, please. Outstanding. All right. In much the same vein of Albina, you find yourself trolling those hard to reach spots. You know, maybe even some places an Nosferatu might like to feed sometimes. You eventually find yourself at a small gathering where some guys are living, laughing it up, telling war stories and jokes and fishing stories. And I swear to God, the fish was this big. You go in, start charming the pants off them with your own stuff, you know, matching them story for story. Eventually, one of them's like, you know, lady, you tell great tales. Maybe go to our fishing boat and you can, you know, prove to me you know how to rig up a fishing pole and throw a net.
Yes, see what we can catch.
All right then. Okay. Hey, fellas, don't wait up for me. Uh, Takes you out, begins walking downhill all the way down to to the dock port area, out to a little fishing boat. It's probably got enough room for 2 or 3 people to work and fish and hold them. That it's definitely got enough room for a man to bring another man or a woman, a partner for the night, and partner up.
Mhm.
Okay, you get up to again the same routine. The clothes come off. A little bit of sexy time begins to happen.
Mhm.
In the middle of it, you bite in, and how much do you drink?
I'm taking 3, and I'm going to stay around to. And basically, if it looks like he's going to, go under, I'm going to try and be there to stabilize him.
Yep. Um, his breath begins to hitch. He starts to puke a little bit from the little bit of alcohol he had. His skin begins to grow, begins to sweat. It's not looking very good. How much medicine do you have?
Um, Let me check exactly. I do know that I actually have dots in it because yeah, I have a dot in medicine.
Okay, you have enough medicine to know that he is not doing well.
I'm going to attempt to stabilize him, make sure that, while he may not, be great at this, he's going to survive
All
it.
right, give me a wits plus medicine roll.
May I spend a willpower on this?
Yes.
We'll do so then.
Each success will grant him 1 stamina roll. 2.
I got 2 successes.
Okay. You successfully stabilize him. You get him up on his side, get a little bit of liquid in him, a little bit of wine to fortify him, stabilize him, put the blankets on him. He eventually begins to come around, and you believe he's
Tired you out
stabilized.
there.
Yeah. Okay. Decius, time for you to hunt.
Yeah, I was thinking something, considering that we are doing a little bit, well, we are putting more attention to hunting for this ones. I was considering about doing the rules from the page 339, seduction.
Okay. So first, you need to find yourself a victim.
Yeah. I'm going to try to find my victim around the streets of Athens that are inhabited or used, at least by the people that fits my feeding preference, essentially. I will probably try to find it in a tavern, because it's probably the most likely
Okay.
to be the place I can find someone.
Well, the rich are going to be in much the same way. They're probably going to eat in their own homes. Your restriction, I believe, is the well-off, correct? How do we phrase that?
Yes. Yes, something like that. They have to be in good conditions mentally and physically, to sum it up without giving too much information.
All right. So
And
you're
this
looking
generally
almost
the-
for a business owner instead of the poor patron.
Yeah.
All right. So you roll in. You're making some rounds. You're trying to pick out a likely target.
Pretty much.
I will not make you make a roll for this because you're going to be making several rolls for the seduction.
Yeah.
All right.
For seduction, it's several stage.
Yep. All right. So, you come in, come up to the counter where there's some singing and dancing going on. Seems to be a little bit more high class stage, a little bit higher class area. Ladies up, a lady and a guy are up on the basically bar top stage area, dancing, kind of singing this bawdy tune. There's as much watching and eating as there is drinking stuff. You begin talking to one of the people who seems to be possibly the owner or a relative of the owner, somebody working there. Roll appearance plus subterfuge
Yes.
versus the difficulty of the subject's wits plus 3. So let's make that 5.
Okay. Appearance, subterfuge.
Yep. Wow.
Holy
Awesome.
shit.
All right, now roll your roll your wits plus subterfuge plus 5 extra dice at difficulty 6.
Okay. For the first roll, I will have an clothing on me that does fit the Athens customs. It's going to have a nice look, like with little bit of fun, interesting coloring and nice engravings on
The
it.
first roll is the approach. The second roll, witty repartee.
Yeah.
You stride in. The first roll, you sashay in. You strut like a peacock. You strut in, showing your colors, your clothing, your men, trying to draw attention. You sit down, slide into the chair, being all James Bond smooth like here.
Yeah. And what was difficult for the second roll?
6, and you get this wits plus subterfuge plus 5 extra dice.
Okay.
You begin chatting with the lady
Damn.
or the man.
Yeah, I guess I'm not that good at for
Yes,
chatting
sir.
part.
Your approach was excellent. She's like, "Oh, I give you 10 out of 10 for your approach. My God, what a specimen, what a spectacle. But your silver tongue leaves a little bit to desire. It's brass at best. It's brass tongue. I wouldn't call it a silver tongue. I call it a brass tongue. It's okay though. But you succeed in moving it along a little bit. Intimate conversation. You've gone from, hey, how's the weather out there? This wine looks nice, to, oh, I wonder what your dress size is. You know, what color undergarments you got on.
Yeah. I'm gonna keep the eye contact on, like with that person, all that.
All right.
Okay, so
So
this
charisma plus empathy plus 1 for extra dice. versus at a difficulty 6.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. Let's go up and I'll show you my bedroom. I'll show you the floor, or I'll show you the hay that I have to share with my brother some nights when it gets too cold.
Yeah, you can show me wherever you
All right.
like.
Takes you upstairs, goes around back. The bedding's empty, clothes come off. Get up to the sexy times. You bite in. How much blood do you take?
I am going to not kill this person, so I will take 2 blood.
Okay.
Play safe.
If you need to hunt again to do more rolls, give me your typical hunting roll at difficulty of 8 minus. You have both presence and dominate, correct?
Yes.
So -1 for each of those, so make it difficulty 6.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I'm going to hunt one more time. I just wanted this to be a little special occasion, you know.
Nicodemus, you were going to approach some people about asking to hunt on their domain.
Yeah, that's true. I was hoping to make some acquaintances before that happens, though.
You do eventually get a chance to talk to the 2 friends of Alexander. Piolus the Ventru and Articane the Toreador. And they do agree to meet you. They find you in a open, unused amphitheater. Standard Greek construction. They're sitting in the stands, discussing a chorus and a classic Greek play when you approach. They stand up and they greet you. Nicodemus, yes, Alexander has told us about you. Please, sit down. Talk with us.
Good evening, venerable wise elders. I thank you for giving me this opportunity to meet you. Nicodemus would sit as invited.
Yeah, so you're all sitting in the stone, the carved steps of the amphitheater. They're kind of relaxed, lounging. Don't seem to be tense or uptight at all. Well, so do tell. What did you want to talk to us about?
I wish to immerse myself in and learn the intricacies of the Greek theater. I found that Rome is lacking in some of the subtleties, and it would find most improvements were to subject it to the culturalism of Greece. But I suspect that a similar tone was hit by my patron.
Oh, well, that's his business. We don't want to talk about that. But
Oh, certainly.
if you want to immerse yourself in the Greek theater, there is a playwright who lived not too long ago. His name is Menander. Was a big proponent of the new comedy, and we do happen to have a few of his plays. We could help you put one of them on before you go in return for a little price. What did you say?
Everyone seems to be mentioning this new comedy. Is that a sole new invention of the Greek theater?
It's a reimagining of the theater. It's new comedies, maybe not the best term, as Menander made his best work approximately 170 years ago.
What would be the weather turn? I'll say to Frank. I'll be frank. I in my perception that theater is meant to educate as much as entertain, and the people of Rome or any people would be better off served with a great amount of education, or rather to prompt their thinking upon the proper path, because well, a society needs to grow and it needs thinkers. And what better ways to draw out thinkers or to encourage them from the masses? Can this new comedy, or whatever the better name is,
Well, I
serve
believe you
the
Romans would refer to it as um, comedy for the populaires. Um, the if you want educational playwrights, Euripides perhaps is more your style. Euripides and Sophocles. Sophocles, perhaps you are familiar with Oedipus Rex.
would Nicodemus be?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, yes, yes. This name is familiar to me, but this is not new comedy.
No, it is not. Sophocles um, wrote the original Oedipus Rex. If you leaning towards uh, art as education, then the Greek tragedy and the Athenian tragedy, which teaches moral lessons and how to worship the gods, is the route you want to go, I would think.
So you see, Romans react well the traditional Roman values, which usually revolve to um, which revolve often about the right of state, as it were, the appeal of the Roman spirit, and uh, the uh, the impression of importance of their own country resonates well with the populace. And I believe there's usually the Greek drama resolve about something else, about uh, the the plight of the common man. What betters what plays and styles would best fit towards this?
Hmm. Well, I tell you what, we happen, both the two of us, happen to have some copies, uh, collections of a couple of plays that I believe you would like. And my understanding is that the Romans have a guild. How did he say it? The Collegium Poterum, the Writers Guild, of which you have several playwrights in Rome.
Yes, that's
Right.
correct.
Yes,
Although
I believe the
far
concept of which you refer to is called the Fabulae Crepiditae, uh, the Roman tragedy using Greek subject matter or Greek themes. I think that's what you're looking for. Uh, they have another style called the Tabula Praetexta, which would be tragedy on Roman subjects. Roman tragedy on Roman subjects. There is a man, his name is, I believe, Lucius Accius, I think. If you could arrange for him to come to Athens to put on his own plays here and introduce Roman theater to Athenian audiences, we will in turn send a current Greek playwright to you to teach you the ways of the Greek tragedy.
Hmm. That sounds like a moderately sophisticated task. What's the catch?
We're not paying for the trip of the playwright. You're going to have to figure that out yourself.
That's fair enough. I believe this is fair. If I succeed, then the trade will happen.
Excellent. It's good pleasure doing business with you. They're getting up to leave, so if you want to ask them to hunt in their domain.
I find no inquiry. I find myself in a. I could use a. It seems that Archon, in his wisdom, is very limited. It is very limiting in this appointment of allowable nights for nourishment for upcoming guests. What would it take for you to grace me with a possibility of hunting in your domain?
Well, you understand the Archon's position is that those who do not intend to remain for a long-term basis may not necessarily be trusted to control themselves if they're allowed to hunt on a regular basis.
Certainly, I do not contend the Archon's wisdom. And I would not ask it if it was not required.
They discuss a few things for a moment. There's several things we would like, and I think they're all within your power to give quite easily. First, we would like copies of at least 10 different Roman plays of the Fabula Palinta and Fabula Togata. Those are Roman comedies based on Greek subjects and Roman comedies in Roman settings. I think those are easily within your grasp. 10 copies of each. And the second thing we would like is an outline and basic history and perhaps even a treatise on the current Roman politics and politicians and where we might expect their ambitions to head and how it will affect Athens. To the best of your ability and to anyone you may be able to poll for guidance and advice.
I think it's fair.
Excellent. A timeline. I believe a year would be a fair timeline from the time you depart Athens.
It seems reasonable out of character, but does it seem reasonable in character?
Yeah, it does. Perfect. We're in agreement then. On the night in question, you guys name a date. We will meet you here and escort you to hunting grounds where you may hunt in safety.
Excellent.
All right. I think we're going to wrap it up for tonight, guys. Everybody
Mhm.
gets an experience point.
Woo.
Um, shoot me any questions about the research you guys did. I'll do my best to answer that. I will write out the history that you found and some names and stuff for you to know or to be aware of. Shalmuth had his records of early Athens are unparalleled. I assume some of you guys, you said you wanted to go shopping, spend some money in the Agora and the Stoa. Those you don't need me to run what you find there. The Stoa is the more upper class market. In fact, in ancient times, they know for a fact there were 43 shops in the Stoa.
Yeah, there are some things I want to buy, but as I said, they're not important to actually roleplay, and
Okay.
you know what they are.
Yep. Honestly, I don't remember what they are unless you have them written down. But
They are they are like statues or little trinkets
okay, yeah,
that I can buy and take it with me to Rome to give it to my friends as a gift, essentially.
all right, cool. Um, yeah, so you will be. So any questions, guys, hit me up. I'll write you some stuff down on your. I'll put it in the in character channel for the stuff you all read, and in your private channels, ask me any questions, and I'll try to give you guys some private information about the research you did. Um, Anything else? Any questions, comments, concerns?
I have a question. Are we going back to Rome next session?
We are.
Okay.
Um, real quick. Oh, first of all, are we still recording?
Say that again.
Are we recording right now?
Okay, well, let me stop. All right, guys. That is our session. I hope you all enjoyed it. I'm glad you were able to join us for it. A little bit more mellow, some philosophy discussion. Tried to return it back to a little bit more individual action. Um, Let me know what you thought. I'm glad to hear everything that you guys have to say about it. Okay, guys. Thanks and have a great evening.